About 3 hours ago, so we're recording this around lunchtime Eastern on Monday, and about 3 hours ago, Brian Schottenstein, who, as I understand, it's the big wig who's got the money and has some power with respect to the Ohio State Collective. I'm probably botching that. Email solidverbal@gmail.com if I got it wrong. Nonetheless, he seems to be a pretty influential guy. He tweeted out earlier this morning that he's got some big news today. Everyone, I guess, jumped to conclusions that this could only mean C.J. Stroud, noted Ohio State quarterback, projected top 5 pick, would be staying. There's been a lot of smoke on the fact that perhaps somebody with money would swoop in with an NIL deal, would keep C.J. Stroud, in Columbus for another season. Obviously, that would have huge ramifications for the Ohio State football program, right? Bringing this guy back. Look, we can debate the merits of whether or not you want him as your quarterback if you're picking in the top 5, but all that aside, still a pretty damn good quarterback for Ohio State. News broke here just before we went on air. Shout out to Aaron, who listens, who was just joining us here in our live stream for calling it out to us before we hit record. C.J. Stroud declared now for the NFL draft. So that saga is presumably over. I don't think it comes as a huge surprise. Look, the guy's a top 5 pick. Ohio State's not going to have quite the offensive line next year that they had this season. He's probably guaranteed about $20 million, somewhere north of $20 million in bonus money, provided he goes highly in the draft, as many project. So this is not a huge surprise that C.J. Stroud would decide to go pro, but it does, I think, further highlight the ramifications of NIL. We'll talk about Jade Rashada here momentarily, but NIL now weighing in on some of these key decisions. He waited until pretty much the last second to decide whether he's going to go to the NFL, whether he's going to stick around for an NIL deal, Dan. So we see these stories popping up more and more. I suspect before long in college football, we will have an instance where NIL is meaty enough to talk somebody back to college to stick around another year. I think to some extent that's probably already happened, but certainly Stroud would have been a high-profile get for the NIL collective.
4th round grade, right? A 4th round grade quarterback or something like, no, I'm being serious. Like the going rate for whatever it is, a top 5-ish NFL draft pick, I saw the number 15 million being thrown around. It's a terrible investment from a collective to spend that much money on a returning quarterback, no matter how good he is. C.J. Stroud has basically nothing left to prove as a college quarterback. You know, you go out on that sour note, losing to Michigan twice, obviously losing at the buzzer to Georgia on the missed field goal, but he shredded what we presume was the best and most talented defense in college football this year in what he did against Georgia in the playoff. He has nothing to prove. He has stopped getting better as a college quarterback. When you reach a certain age and you look excellent and you make it to New York for your Heisman ceremony, there's not a lot left to prove. Could he get better off platform? Of course. He's not a perfect quarterback, but I'd much rather roll the dice on getting a good NFL quarterback coach and getting time in that room, getting used to the speed of the NFL. No-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer. I could see it in a rare instance of a 1st-round grade NFL quarterback if he got hurt 3 games in and missed the entirety of the season. And like that's gnawing at him, leaving on a sour note. But yes, if you are a 3rd round, 4th round, if that grade comes back to you and you have an opportunity to improve that, whether it was because of health, whether it was because of all sorts of circumstances or whatever, and get paid $1 million, $2 million, whatever, something that seems more reasonable to my mind to spend on a quarterback, but whatever the market is, it is. I think that's where you'll see those decisions. And it's not just quarterback. It could be a safety. It could be a receiver, whatever. And their stock has improved, but maybe not to the point where they say, okay, this is where I really think I can go with another full year of development and tape. But C.J. Stroud, to me, far away, having nothing to do with him or the Ohio State program, it was always a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer move. I'm not crazy about C.J. Stroud as an NFL quarterback, and we can talk about that.
Whatever.
At some point as we get closer to the NFL draft, but that's a completely separate topic from whether or not he should. And in this case, certainly from a business standpoint, I mean, there's money on the table. There's money on the table, and he's going to be a top 5 pick. Now is the time to go. So it was probably the right move for him, despite the fact that there was some smoke around whether or not NIL could find a way to talk him back to Columbus.